Good morning, and welcome to the Salem Lutheran Church Sunday morning Bible study. We'll be getting started in just a few moments.
Well, good morning, and welcome from snowy Worcester, Ohio. We're like most of the country getting piled on with the snow, but I'm sitting here watching my guys plow out my driveway and my sidewalks for the first time. And I still have power, so I'm warm and I'm comfy, and I'm going to stay here till the snow goes away. So, welcome to our Bible study here at Salem Lutheran Church. Today, we're going to look at another one of the songs of ascent. As we mentioned before, there are 15 of these psalms in the book of Psalms. These were psalms that were used by Jews as they made their way to Jerusalem on their holy pilgrimages for the high holy days like Passover, Yom Kippur. So as they were making their way, they would sing these psalms as they approached Jerusalem, as they entered Jerusalem. And there were 15 of them. We're about halfway through. I think this is the 7th or the 8th psalm. Haven't been keeping count. But anyways, this song is entitled by the book of Psalms as a song of ascent of Solomon, which has led to most people thinking that this psalm was actually written by Solomon, although some think it was a psalm written actually by David for Solomon in Solomon's name. So we're going to assume that Solomon is the author of this particular psalm. Now, I want to just read something from the commentary that I use for this series because I think it says something rather important. It says, the strength of the Hebrew people in the past and all that remains of it today largely results from the keen sense which they ever cherished of the importance of the home and the family. The house, the city, labor are all important to the conserving of the strength of the family. Family, I guess I was raised in a Jewish family. My grandparents were Jewish. My father was Jewish. My mother was the aberration. She was the German Lutheran who came into the family, which is why I'm a Lutheran, I guess. My mother was stronger on religion than my father was. But I was sort of raised in a Jewish family. And I can attest to the fact of the importance of family, of the importance of children in the family. There is nothing more important than the children to a Jewish family. Now, I know a lot of you out there are saying, well, that's true in my family, I guess. But I'm just saying my experience has been the importance of children to the Jewish family and to the Jewish structure, which explains a lot. If you remember when the terrorist attack happened on Israel, when they took over that music festival and killed a lot of the young people, some people were kind of caught off guard as to why the Israelis reacted so strongly. Well, they took their children. And that one thing you don't do to a Jewish family is you don't take their children. You don't mess with children. You don't kill children. If you do, they're going to react with tremendous retribution. And that's exactly what we saw after the terrorist attacks on Israel. Anyways, this psalm is going to talk about the importance of family. But it begins by talking about God and his work of guarding and establishing community. And I guess it brings up the question, in whom do we put our trust? Do we put our trust in ourselves and what we're able to do? Or do we put our trust honestly in God? And that's how the psalm begins, because it starts out by saying, unless the Lord, and by the way, that word Lord again is Yahweh. That's the Hebrew word for God, Yahweh, one of the Hebrew words, but it specifically refers to the covenant God. I've said this before, so you probably have heard this several times already. Yahweh is the name that God picked for himself. It takes us back to the time of Moses being called by God to go down to Egypt and to get the people of Israel out. And if you recall the burning bush story, Moses is standing there and this burning bush happens. And out of it comes the voice of God telling Moses to go down to Egypt. And Moses comes up with all the excuses of why he can't do that, why he shouldn't do that. And at the end of that story, or that conversation, Moses says, well, when I get down to Egypt, Who shall I say has sent me? Remember, there are gods all over the place in that part of the world at that time. Every nation, every tribe has its own God. And so he's asking him, well, which God shall I say has sent me down to Egypt to get the people out? And the burning bush says, tell them, and in Hebrew, Yahweh, Yahweh. And so the word Yahweh means more than just Lord and God. It refers to the covenant God, the God who called the people of Israel to be his people, the God who made a covenant with the people, the covenant being that I will be your God and you shall be my people. It's the promise of God that I will always guard and protect you, that the people of Israel will not perish from this earth, that I will be your God. I will protect you. I will guide you. I will guard you. I will keep you safe. I will keep you a nation. So it says here is at the beginning, unless Yahweh builds the house, then they labor in vain who build it. Unless the Yahweh guards the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. Watchman, by the way, always refers to at night. They would always have watchmen on the walls, or when they were encamping in Israel, they would send watchmen out to kind of make sure they weren't attacked at night. In fact, we still do that, don't we? I mean, when soldiers are in encampments, they always have guards on duty, watching and protecting the one. So if something happens, if some enemy approaches, if someone starts attacking, they sound the alarm so that the rest of the army can come forward and guard the walls or protect the encampment. And so that's what a watchman is. He is the one who is to guard and keep and protect them. And so this psalm begins by saying, unless Yahweh builds that house, and he's not just, he's talking about your house, your home, unless your home is built upon the foundations of God, unless God is at the center of your family and your life, unless Yahweh builds that house, those who build their homes build them in vain. Unless the Yahweh guards your city, the watchman stays awake in vain. Because it's not us who can protect the family. It's not us who can protect the city. It's not us who can protect the country. It is Yahweh who protects the country. It is Yahweh who keeps guard. It is Yahweh who keeps watch. And so what the psalm is starting by saying is, remember, at the center of your family should be what? Yahweh, God. I remember as a boy growing up, my family worked really hard at that. We always had devotions at night. Before we went to bed at night as kids, my brother and I always had to gather with the family, and we would have devotions, and then we would have prayers. That was always put at the center. And when I became a father, we did the same thing. Doris and I always gathered the kids together, first just Tim, and then later Jennifer and Tim. And we would always have family time before they went to bed. It's a time of listening to the kids, finding out what's going on in their life, finding out. So it wasn't just about reading a devotional. It was about sitting down as family, checking on the family, seeing what was going on, and then having a devotional time and prayer time. We also did that in our family at supper time. You know, as the kids got older, I'm sure in most families, everybody seems to go in 1,000 directions. If the wife is working, the husband's working, and the kids have got all their school activities, and they go in 1,000 different directions. And there's a lot of pulls and tugs on them. But we had one rule in our house. When supper time came, everybody came home. Nobody could say, hey, I'm going to go to my friend's house at supper time. No. Supper time was when we gathered as a family around the table. We didn't allow anybody to have magazines or newspapers at the table. Nobody could have the TV on or the radio on. This was a time for family. This was a time to kind of check in on everybody, see how they were doing. It was our way of trying to put Yahweh at the center of our family. And we even did that when we went out to eat. You know, we always had prayers before meals. So even when we went out to eat, we would always have a prayer to start our meal time. And I'll always remember, and I've told this story before, I know, but the time when we went out to McDonald's and the kids were young and we got our meals, the Big Macs and the kids' meals, and we sat down at the table and we all joined hands as we sat at that table and said a prayer before the meal. And when we opened our eyes, when I opened my eyes, I looked around and everybody in the McDonald's had stopped eating. They almost like frozen. They had their hamburgers like, you know, and just staring at us. Look at this strange family. What are they doing? Well, we were praying because we were trying to help our kids remember that even French fries and kids' meals and McDonald's and quarter pounders, those too are gifts from God. It's a way of always putting Yahweh at the center of your family. And if you do that, the promise of God is that he will bless the family. You will be strong. So I encourage you all out there who are listening to take that advice for what it's worth. Take it and use it. Build your family, build your community upon Yahweh. If you do that, doesn't mean you'll always have a great life, doesn't mean there'll be no problems in your family, but it does mean that you'll get through them. That with God on your side, with God at the center, you will make your way through. And I look back at my kids now with great pride. I always tell people jokingly, I have the answer to every Jewish father's prayer. I have two kids. One's a doctor and one's a lawyer. My son is an attorney with Lockheed Martin, that's the airplane manufacturers. And my daughter is a neuroradiologist at Emory School of Medicine. So very proud of my kids. I think they turned out okay. And they both have wonderful families and wonderful kids. And I enjoy seeing my grandchildren. So the psalm begins by reminding us of the importance of putting God at the center. And if you do, your family will be strong and loving and caring. Unless the Lord builds your house, you labor in vain who build it. Unless the Lord guards your city, the watchman stays awake in vain. Put God at the center, and your family will remain strong and centered in your faith. That's my encouragement to you. And the psalm goes on basically to talk about that. It expands upon that, the importance of family and children. Never forget that. I always tell my daughter, with the kids, I said, always make sure you take time and make time for the kids too, because time flies by so quickly. You're going to turn around one day and the kids will be going out the door, college, married, having their own families, and you'll wonder where the time went. I always say that if I had any regret in my life, it's that I didn't spend more time with my children, more time with my family. I love spending time with my kids. In fact, my kids always, on a day like today, with the snow coming down, my kids knew if that happened and school was canceled, well, Dad and the kids were going to go out and have fun. We didn't stay around in the house. I didn't go to work. I just said, that's it. Even though my work was right next door to my house, I was a pastor at that time as the kids growing up, and the parsonage was right next to the church. I could have easily walked over to the church in any snowstorm and gone to work. No, didn't do it. Now let's go out sledding. Let's go out and see if we can get through the roads and have lunch together. And so it was always a fun time for me and the kids. Used to love doing that. So the psalm goes on, though. The vanity of reliance on the strength of man. It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, for so he gives his beloved sleep. What's that talking about? In whom again do you put your trust? If you put your trust in God, why waste time worrying? Why waste time worrying about what tomorrow is going to bring? Tomorrow is going to bring God. Tomorrow is going to bring the hand of God. I remember when my wife had MS and people always ask me, don't you worry about what's going to happen tomorrow? I would always tell them, no, I don't. I just live for today with her. Because if I spent the whole day worrying about what was going to happen tomorrow, and then tomorrow, Judgment Day came and there was no tomorrow, I would have been really upset that I wasted a whole day worrying for nothing. So God only promised us today. Take today. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about next week. Live for today. Live in the moment and believe that God will take care of tomorrow. I'm a firm believer in that. So no matter what's happening in your life, rest assured that God is with you. The hand of God and the promise of God is with you. That's what this psalm says. It is vain for you to rise up early. How many of you have woken up early in the morning worrying you can't sleep because you're so worried about what tomorrow is going to happen, or what's going to happen at work, or what's going to happen at school, or what's going to happen with your health, what's going to happen at the doctors? Why waste the time? Is that going to change anything? My daughter was a natural worrier. And I remember one day when she was in college, she was worrying about something. And I said to her, I think you're just wasting your time, Jen, worrying and you have no control over what's going to happen. She says, well, I'm just so worried. I said, I'll tell you what, if you can convince me that worrying is going to help change anything, I'll sit down with you right now and I will worry right alongside of you with you. How's that? And she said, well, that's really silly, Dad. I said, no sillier than what you're doing. You're worrying about things that you have no control over. Always focus on the things you can control. Everything else, give up to God. That doesn't mean sit back and do nothing. Do what you can. Plan for the future. Exercise your human mind and your abilities. But then just focus on what you can do. Focus on what you can control. And everything else, give up to God. It is a waste of time for you to rise up early in the morning worrying and to sit up late worried. I can't go to sleep. I'm so worried about that. What a waste of time to eat the bread of sorrow, for so he gives his beloved sleep. Trust God. Trust that God is with you. Trust that God will deliver you. I know that's hard. It's hard for me too, but I try to remember that in everything I do. And when I was pastor of the church, I always tried to do the same thing. I'm not going to worry about what is going to happen at the church. I'm not going to worry about the finances. I'm not going to worry. I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to plan. I'm going to try to direct things. I'm going to try to make things happen. But when it comes to worry, no, I'm going to leave that up to God. I'm going to give that up into the hands of God and trust that God will deliver us. And that worked well for me
Thanks
for
for the
almost 50 years
reminder.
pastor of a church. Pardon? Did somebody
Thanks for
say
the
something?
reminder, Pastor.
Pardon?
Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, well, my wife was a natural worrier, and I'm a bit of a natural worrier too. But I always try to bring myself back to reality and say, what am I accomplishing by worrying? Is it going to change anything? No. So I'm just going to put my trust in God that whatever happens, whatever comes, God will see me through it. And at least I try. They don't always succeed. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, I've accomplished it. I'm so perfect. I'm wonderful. No, but I do try. I do try. And I'm encouraging you to do it. Now it moves on to family and the importance of family in the next few verses. And it tells how children in your family are like arrows. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior, so are the children of one's youth. Happy is the man who has his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but shall speak with their enemies in the gate. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior. In many ways, children are like arrows in the hand of a warrior. What does that mean? Well, I've come up with some things I'll share with you. Children must be carefully shaped and formed. Your job as a parent is not just to produce kids and say, well, good luck, kids. Hope you turn out okay. No, to be a parent, to be a father means to shape and to form your kids so that they can deal with the realities of life. And the one thing I've discovered now that I'm 80 years old, I always thought when I was younger, the time is going to come when my kids are all grown. Maybe they even have their own families. They got their own careers. And I can sit back and stop worrying and just relax. No, you never stop being dad. You never stop being mom. And I can remember times when I remember my daughter one time was having problems with a guy at her residency, and it took everything in my wife's control to keep me from getting in my car, driving up to Cleveland to University Hospital, and confronting the guy. And Dora said, "You can't do that. You got to stay out of your daughter's life." It's hard because as a father, as a mother, you always want to protect your kids. You always want to keep them safe. You never want to see them crying. You never want to see them sad. You never want to see them hurting. You always want to make sure that they're okay. And so that's what this says. Our job as parents is to shape and form our children. They have to be guided. I wrote these down with skill and strength. They must be given care or they will not fly straight. Our job is to make sure our children grow up well so that they can fly straight in life. That's the job of a parent. Not to always tell them what to do, but to guide and to shape and to send them off in the right direction. And also, I wrote down, like arrows, children must be aimed and given direction because they won't find direction on their own. They'll always choose the easy way. That's what a parent's job is to help give them direction. And I know with our kids, one of the things that we were very proud of is we always told our kids, look it, we don't care what you do with your life. Those are your choices, what you want to be. But you are going to college. You are going to have a career. You're not going to just glide through high school and then go off and do whatever. No, no, no. You're going to have direction. And so our kids grew up knowing that they were going to college. But what they chose, that was up to them. And they chose not what we thought they would. I always thought my daughter would be a journalism major in college. Turned out she was a biology major and became a doctor. I always thought my son was going to be an engineer. He loved math. Well, he became a patent attorney. So our job is to give them direction, point them in the right direction. And then once they're off on their own, just be proud of them. And we also have to teach the kids how to put Yahweh in their life. Make God the center of their lives too. And I'm very proud. Both my kids are very involved in their churches. I know my daughter, she's not a Lutheran. She joined the Episcopal Church. Her husband was Roman Catholic that she married. And so they compromised. They said they tried to find something between Lutherans and Catholics that worked, and they chose the Episcopal Church. And so they're active members of the Episcopal Church. And I know my daughter was sending photos to me after Christmas of her daughter and her son playing their part in the Christmas pageant. I think my grandson, Alex, was a shepherd. And I think my granddaughter, Isabella, was the angel Gabriel. I just remembered that. She was the angel Gabriel who announced to Mary that she was going to have a baby. So that's what we do with our children, is we give them direction. We point them in the way. We put the values that they have in their heart. That's our job as a parent. And I guess also our job as a parent is to worry about them for the rest of our lives, to make sure that try to make sure they're happy. You never stop being mom. You never stop being dad. I guess that's part of my Jewish upbringing, the importance of family. I'm always dad. I'm always dad. And anytime my daughter has a problem or a worry or a concern, dad's always the one she calls. And I'm really happy about that. You know, I know a lot of kids, they kind of go off and dad and mom don't hear much from them. Well, I still hear from my kids. My daughter does FaceTime with me every Sunday. I'll see if we have FaceTime with the snowstorm, but she always does FaceTime and hands the phone to the grandkids so I can see them, what they're doing, how they're growing, how they're getting older. And if she has a problem, I'm so happy that she always calls me, Dad, what do you think? Well, I listen a lot. I try not to tell her what to do, but I do listen. And I'm so happy that, well, she does call me. A lot of parents don't hear from their kids. So I guess dad did something right, that his kids want to stay in touch, that their kids still look to dad for advice and for a listening ear. So I try to do that. And so it's talking about here in family how if you have a full quiver of children, happy is the man who has his quiver full of them. You know what a quiver is, don't you? I'm an old archer.
Yes.
So if you don't know what a quiver is the thing you put your arrows in. My quiver was, when I was a competitive archer, my quiver was always on my hip. That's where I kept my arrows, on my hip, so I could reach them easily. If you remember old Robin Hood movies, the quivers were always on their back, so they could always reach over and pull an arrow out and then get it into their bow. By the way, you notice I just did that. For those who don't know, I'm left-handed. So I shot arrows left-handed. And one of my great sadnesses in my later years as my back has given me problems is I can't do archery anymore. So miss my archery. But happy is the man whose quiver is full of them. Happy is the man, happy is the woman whose quiver is filled with children. Happy is the man, happy is the woman who has raised children to the glory of God. Happy is the man who can sit back and say, I had a good life. And when you appear in heaven, God will ask you, what did you accomplish in your life? And I will say, I had 2 wonderful kids, and they had 4 wonderful grandchildren for me. That's my pride. That's my accomplishment. Not that I became senior pastor at a large church, not that I got a PhD in clinical psychology, not that I did all those things in my life, not that I traveled to Europe. No, none of those are important. What's important? I had 2 wonderful kids who've made me proud every day of their life. And that's the one goal we should all have, to be able to sit back and say, I had a good life. Look at my family. Look at my children. Happy is the man who has his quiver filled with children, but shall speak with their enemies in the gate. The gate of an ancient city was a place of business and justice. And this verse speaks of children of the godly having places of prominence and influence in their communities. That's what is important, to raise children, to have a quiver filled with children where you can look back and say, look what I produce. I produce children who are producing and contributing to their society and to their community. My daughter's a doctor. My son's an attorney. I'm very proud of them. They are contributing to their society. And so that's how the psalm ends. But shall speak with their enemies in the gate. Anyways, I just noticed my time is up. And so I'll turn to Tim and say, Tim, I don't think we're going to have a whole lot going on at Salem this week because of the storm. But what do you got for us?
Well, thank you, Pastor. We don't have a lot going on because right now we are currently in a level 2 snow emergency. So you're not supposed to be out in the roads unless you absolutely have to be out there. You're supposed to allow the emergency crews and the rescue people to be able to get along and get around without you being stuck in a ditch to have them help you. So stay in, stay warm, stay safe, and don't worry about church this morning. At about 10 a.m., I'll be live streaming a video that I took on Friday, which includes the reading of the lessons and my sermon. So we'll have kind of a shortened, encapsulated version of our service. No special music, no organist, just me and the readings and the sermon. And that will be all that we have for the day. We don't have fellowship unless you guys want to have like a Zoom fellowship. I mean, maybe that'd be an interesting thing. But we don't have anything planned at that. And tomorrow, or after this afternoon, we are supposed to go to the Avenue to have worship with them. But as long as the level 2 or level 1 is in place, we'll be giving them a call and telling them that we'll have to see them next month. So unfortunately, it looks as though our senior worship ministry will have to take a break this week, and we'll see them in February. Other than that, at this time, our Monday night, NFL Monday night is still on, because I'm not thinking that we're going to have this snow emergency still in effect by 6 o'clock in the evening on Monday. But if it is, if the snow emergency is still in effect on Monday evening, we won't have that either. So stay tuned. Keep an eye out on Facebook. Keep an eye out at slcw.org to see if we have any updates about the meal and Bible study. Other than that, the only thing that's remaining is something that we know will happen. No matter what, it happens. And that's Bible study next Sunday at 9 a.m. right here on Zoom or on Facebook Live. So that is all I have for you, Pastor. I'll pass
All righty.
it back
Well, we
to
hope
you.
we'll see you next week for our Bible study. We'll be doing Psalm 128, which is another one of the songs of ascent. I hope you enjoyed our Bible study today. And please, all of you out there who can hear my voice, stay home. There is nothing so important that is worth risking your life. Stay off the roads. Stay home, stay warm, enjoy your family, put another log in the fireplace, and sit back and relax today with your family. This is not a day to be out on the highway. So please stay safe. Don't want to hear about any tragedies on anyone. So until next week, when we do Psalm 128, may God's blessings be with you. May he keep you safe in the midst of this snowstorm, and may he keep you warm and surrounded by your families. So until next week, God's blessings be with you. May he keep you smiling until we all meet again. God bless you all.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor, and the same to you.
Yes, have a great Sunday now. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good day, Sharon. Thank you.